Welcome to another episode of Filmmakers in the Making. Today we have a pleasure to have Brett Newton.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Spend this time with us. So, what is where you came from? What's your background in the industry, or what you were doing before the industry?
Right. So I'm from a small town in New Jersey, Long Valley, New Jersey. I grew up there actually as a theater kid. From the age of 8 to 19, I was doing musical theater. My sister actually got me involved in that. She inspired me. I saw her on stage in the show Dracula Spectacular when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I was like, Mom and Dad, I want to do that. So they signed me up, and the next summer I was in a summer program doing musical theater, so at 8 years old. Yeah.
So I saw us doing plays too, so we have a connection there. So it's very cool because in plays, you have to do with the minimum you have on stage, you have to make it like feel real and then transfer the audience to what you want to say.
There's nothing like the live audience experience. Yep. It's just one, as a performer, as an artist, getting the instantaneous feedback, and literally communicating with the audience it's probably one of the most incredible feelings that you could get and rushes you could get as a performer.
Yep.
So
when I met you the first time, you were just moving from LA to Atlanta. I know there's a lot of people out there who's thinking to do the same decision.
Yeah.
So why you make that jump?
So I was in Los Angeles for 15 years, and I did very well as an actor, as a filmmaker, as a producer. Me in general, I would say I would dictate myself as a creative entrepreneur, and that because 1, as a performer, 2, as a filmmaker, and then 3, as a company owner. I own a company in Los Angeles called LA Reels, and we produce original content for actors, short films, videos for those indie producers and things like that. And I did very well in Los Angeles, and for the last 6 years, since 2013, that's when we started LA Reels. So I was working as an actor. I was figuring out my life. I went to college in Los Angeles. That's actually why I originally went to Los Angeles. My sister went to NYU in New York, and that was a hop, skip, and a jump from New Jersey, to New York City. And I didn't want to go to New York City. I wanted to do TV and film. I wanted to go to Los Angeles, California. So I was actually enrolled in Rutgers. And I had, literally the day I came back from housing, I got the letter from Cal State LA, which is a small little state school in California, that I was accepted. So most people get accepted to Cal State LA, to be honest. And I literally told my parents, I'm going to California. So I basically, I jumped on a plane with my dad. We checked out the school, we checked out everything, and we checked out housing in LA. And I decided to make the move. I went there. Eventually, I became a telecommunications and film major. I was undecided for a couple years. I knew I wanted to go there for acting, but eventually I just decided to fully commit into the entertainment industry over there. So I became a telecommunications and film major. And I think college is very much one of those things, you get what you put into it. So as a film person, with the minimal resources that I had, I just kept kind of being creative and building resources. Eventually that led to me, I was PAing on shows for the History Channel and doing production associate stuff. I was learning how to edit on Final Cut 7. And basically that was pretty much the first 8 years I was in Los Angeles. And then I got my SAG card as an actor. And I just started working around town in front and behind the camera. And literally at this point in my life, I can say I've literally done everything from production assistant to executive producing a feature film, to doing stunt work, to working on rigging, to working in front of the camera as an actor, as an extra, as a stand-in, basically everything. Now, my journey in Los Angeles, I'd been there for 15 years, and I built a production company. I built LA Reels. I was represented commercially, theatrically. I had a manager. I was auditioning. I was booking. I was on the TV show Glow. I was on General Hospital. I've done a handful of commercials from Esurance, Toyota, Texas Pete Hot Sauce, and these are all principal, principal roles. And then our production company, me and my production partner, we were literally like, we want to produce a feature film. You know, I've always, there was a 10-year period where I was saying, I want to produce a feature film. I want to produce a feature film. So we finally just sat down and did it. And we produced a feature film called Scramble. And of course, I know you as a filmmaker, you probably get the same feeling whenever you look at your work and you finish it. You're like, man, that could be better. That could be better. Yeah, you know. So we came up with a saying. We always say, the best project is a finished project. You know, so, you know, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But, you know, it feels good when you get to move on to the next project. So, but basically, so we jumped into that. We made our feature film. And after our feature film, after 3,000 original scenes created for actors, I've literally produced and shot and directed and edited over 25 hours of original narrative content, you know, over the last 6 years. Wow. And it's crazy. And now that I think about it, it may be way more than that, because we've done over 3,000 scenes, which are anywhere from 1 minute to 2 minutes long. And we've done a feature film, which was, you know, 93 minutes long. And then just the countless numbers of short films and commercials and things like that. So yeah, a big part of why I moved from Los Angeles to Atlanta. One was, well, I kind of felt stagnant in a way. Audition-wise, I don't feel like, as an actor, I don't feel like I was auditioning as much as I can. And then filmmaking-wise, I just feel like, I mean, overall in LA is super saturated, you know, with actors, with filmmakers, with producers, with people who have content, and it's so spread out. Have you been to LA?
Yes. Yeah. About that.
Yeah, and it's just, there's so much going on in Los Angeles that sometimes it's hard to make a little bit of noise. So I kept hearing about this magical place on the East Coast called Atlanta. So literally last year, I actually came out to Atlanta for 2 months. Before I decided to move out here. And I had been doing a lot of research. I'd been hearing a lot of things. You know, I've been hearing about Pinewood Studios. I heard about the 10-picture deal with Marvel. I heard about Tyler Perry Studios. And I heard about just this wild west of the entertainment industry on the East Coast. So I had done some research for like 6 months, and I really, I'd done some research for like 6 months, and then I came out here. I grabbed an Airbnb in one part of town for a month, and then an Airbnb in another part of town for a month. And while I was here, I was working. I was shooting reels. I shot a pilot. I shot and produced a pilot for an independent producer called Losing Hope, which is a 15-minute story, and it's a really heartwarming drama. Actually, and that was with Derek Webster. Derek Webster was the executive producer who brought me onto that project, and that was just something that was incredible. I felt like way more. I felt more attached here. I felt there was a groundedness to Atlanta, and not everyone and their mother was in the entertainment industry, which was really refreshing after 15 years. And then also, I mean, the benefits. You know, for me, one, you know, I'm coming from a place where I feel like a doctor. After being in LA for 15 years, I feel like I had training like a doctor, you know, and like working in that competition, working in that realm, working in such a saturated environment. I mean, the skill sets that I feel like I have are very fine-tuned. Of course, I'm always learning, you know, as a director, as a filmmaker, as an editor, as an actor, you know, and you're always fine-tuning the creative tool inside of you. But after, you know, being able to come here, you know, and see all these young and hungry filmmakers and artists and actors that just want to make great content and just want to be a part of the heartbeat of the entertainment industry, and they are now. I mean, the last 8 years in Atlanta have just been absolutely incredible. You know, I think it was, you know, 8 years ago, it was $365 million were spent here in the entertainment industry. 2 years ago, it was $8 billion, and I think this year is on par for like $19 billion, you know, which is absolutely insane. So every movie you see in the Oscars is coming out of Atlanta right now. So okay, I digress. So really, so the benefits for me, I mean, one, as an artist, I feel like I'm actually getting to do my art a lot more here. I feel like I'm shooting more. I'm working with all sorts of different collaborative people, one as an actor, as a filmmaker, on all elements of that, instead of running the rat race of trying to get work or trying to be in it. Like I'm literally, and I was doing that there, but I was literally running a rat race, which I think most people run a rat race in Los Angeles. There's a little more breathing room here. One, cost of living is less. Two, the great thing, for me is I'm from New Jersey, so I'm back on the same coast. Just being on the same time zone, I already talk to my parents like way more. I feel like I have parents again, so yeah. And then my sister lives in Virginia, and my fiance's family lives in Jersey, and her sister lives in North Carolina. So it makes sense, Of course, I miss the beach, I miss the sun. It's that grass is always greener effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think wherever you go and move to, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Especially in the ADD world we live in now, and the social media world we live in now, where we see everyone's best moments because that's what they put on their social media. So. Yeah.
So I like something you said. We said and we did it on the feature film. I think this is something most of filmmakers there. I hear, I'm start working on the feature film, or I start writing,
right? And
then you see them next year and still the same.
Yeah.
You go, this happened and that happened. Life happens every day, and you're gonna have 20 excuses not to do it.
Not to do it.
And
yeah.
Then, can you tell us a little bit more about LA Reels, more in deep, what it do for people out there who want to create their own demo reel?
Yeah. So LA Reels is a company that was created. It was actually created by my business partner, Noah Edward Scott. He created it, and then literally a week later, I came on board and I started helping him with it. And then suddenly, through that process, I became part owner, and now I actually own the entire company. He took off on another adventure, which I love, and we still collaborate and talk on many projects. But basically, LA Reels is a company that creates original content for actors. And in this vein, we basically we'll have clients come in, and I'm an actor, so I know the perspective that an actor comes from when you need content, when you can't get content. Like in this day and time, a resume and a headshot aren't good enough anymore. Yep. People want to see your essence on screen. People, casting directors, agents, managers, whoever's going to hire you or work with you, producers, they want to see your essence on screen. They want to see what you're capable of. They want to see you in a professional piece, because, and part of that is as a producer, if you're hiring an actor, and if they only have a reel that's done by a shanty, college or student film, and let's face it, not all student films are great. If you want to do a student film, I recommend doing a thesis, someone's thesis project, because that means they've put the work in to make a great project or get there. But as a producer, you want to see someone's work. One, you want to see them as an actor, as an artist. You want to see their essence on screen and their capabilities, but you also want to see them in a professional light. You want to see them on a professionally produced piece with great sound, with great visual, great composition, great editing, because then you don't even think about that side of it. But then you can trust that someone else has taken the risk, to put them in a project. You're not the first one taking a risk. The reality is on a television show, on a network television show, they're spending $1,000 a minute. And to invest in you, not just to pay you your day rate to come on, but to invest all the people that are there on set filming you, they don't have time to waste. If you're getting hired as a co-star on a television show, you're a cog in the wheel. Fill the cog, move on. Yep. That's really, and that's why this industry is so competitive, is because we're all just little cogs, and we got to be on our A game all the time. So what LA Reels really does is provide an outlet for actors that don't have material. Although we've had actors that have, that are brand new. We've had actors that have been working on series for years that want to show themselves in different light. But basically, it gives them a chance to executive produce their own content, how they want to show their essence, how they want to be presented, how they want to work, what type of work they want to jump into. Now, I always tell people, I always tell clients, especially beginning, when you're starting, the more specific you are, and this goes, I think, with everything in this industry. The more specific, what my clients as actors, what I tell them, the more specific you are for the type of shows you want to be, the type of genres you want to work on, the type of character you are, your essence is. And we talk to them, we help them if they're lost, you know, we guide them to like, well, this is what I see, you know, and this is what you could do without, you know, even, you know, just in your sleep. But really it's, you know, we're creating original content so actors can go out and be seen, you know, and
the way they want. They have opportunity to express why they want to go and see.
Yeah, and going back to being specific, you know, when I tell my clients, my actors, you know, to be specific in the type of characters or shows or genres that they want to portray themselves, I think that goes overall for everyone in this entire industry. If you want to work in reality television, you're going to start by getting a PA job on a reality show. If you want to work in narrative TV, in drama or in comedy, you know, you're going to find a narrative PA job on a drama show versus a comedy, because you really, you know, as you grow in this business, those groups of production people, you know, they kind of stick in those realms and they grow and they build in those realms and they grow together for the most part, you know, so.
Well, like you said, PA is a very important position, and this is something I've been talking about with a bunch of coworkers. I mean, a bunch of people see PA that is not important, but PA give you the freedom to go and explore where actually you want to go. Is either camera, art department, or whatever the department is. PA, I think, is the door, and then it helps you to be there and then learn and watch for people who are doing it and decide if it's for you or not. Do you PA before start doing the acting?
I PA'd on a ton of stuff, from feature films to reality and narrative television. I also did extra work, you know, on feature films, on TV. My first SAG voucher was on the TV show That's So Raven as an extra. I was a non-union kid, and I came in, and basically I was so cool and helpful with the AD. I even helped her clean up, like, because that's a live studio show, so I helped her clean up like the garbage after the show. She called me back the next day. She had a SAG voucher with my name on it. I mean, that's rare, you know, and that's crazy, but, you know, good work ethic, you know, acuity to learn, and the willingness to just be there is a huge part of this industry. Yep. I mean, relationships are a huge part of this industry. Yep. If people can like you and get along with you is a huge part of this industry.
So as a student, I think most of the people think that I need to finish school and stand there working, and then I can get a job as a PA, but you can start even before that.
Yeah. I was, you know, in Los Angeles, I was in school. I moved to LA in 2003, and from 2003 to 2005, the whole time I was in school, I was already PAing. I was already auditioning. I was getting auditions on Craigslist, you know, but I was, and PA jobs on Craigslist. And a lot of those jobs, it's funny because a lot of those jobs that I got when I was still in college, led to work outside of college, you know, when I graduated, because I had already planted seeds, I'd already created relationships. It's really easy to get trapped in your own bubble. You know, it's really easy to say, like, this is what I'm doing here and now, but I want to do this. But if you never take the steps to actually do that, it's not going to happen. You know, and the other big part of that too is that nothing happens overnight. You know, everything takes time to grow. So, like, literally, you know, if you want to produce on, you know, a 3-camera sitcom show, you know, then I would start, you know, getting into that PA realm as soon as possible. You know, if you're a new student going into it. I mean, even now, I mean, I'm 34 years old. So I'm 34 years old, and, like, you know, the reality is like, I don't see anything as beneath me if it's a place that I want to go into. You know, if there was an opportunity to work with a huge director that I've always idolized or wanted to get to work with, it's not easy to get to be on set with these guys. Yeah. So, you know, if there's a position, you know, for a Steven Spielberg film where I know I'd be working with Steven Spielberg, I would probably do a PA job on that for a few months, you know, because the networks and the people I would meet, the experience I would have, and the information I would gain just from that. You know, the other thing is too is, I think the indie world of filmmaking, of content creation, is totally different than the mainstream world, you know, when you're dealing with studios and networks and and you're working with millions and millions of dollars. You know, I mean, the indie world of filmmaking, we're wearing many hats. You know, like I know when I'm working for a client on a short film or a short narrative piece, you know, I'm shooting, I'm helping writing and development, I'm directing, I'm doing lights, you know, I'm doing post-production. I'm working the whole process, you know, and I know, you know, when we get to move up a little bit and we get a little more of a budget, and then I can have a shooter and then I can just direct, I know it takes a little more stress off of me, you know, and it's a great feeling. But in the indie world, we don't always have that option. You know, we need to hustle and get our stuff done if that's what we want to do. Yeah.
So now that you said you said something about hustle. How you keep that hustle? How you keep yourself hungry?
That's
funny. We'll say that way. You know.
Yeah. You know, I think the entertainment industry is basically just a fishing line, you know, with some bait, and we keep jumping up for it, and eventually we catch it, and then we get reinvigorated, and we're ready to go after the next piece of bait.
That's a great example right there. So I mean, you are acting before, and then you cross to the directing, producing, and all that.
Yeah.
How you know, when this actor came to you and say, "Hey, I want to produce this," how you were able to help them with all this knowledge? I mean, in the way, you know, you help them to develop the story completely, and then also you can tell them if it's working out. So
well, I mean, luckily, you know, it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I went to film school, but it was funny my major was telecommunications and film. So after I graduated, I was in LA to act, you know, but I had been working in production. But I had never actually really picked up or really known a camera until I started working with my team at LA Reels. And then that's when I first bought my first DSLR camera. Before that, I was working on digital high 8 video camera, you know. But that's when I really started learning how to use the camera and everything. And I know this kind of goes off your question, but I'm going back to it, I promise. But really, what it was, you know, when we started LA Reels, there was 4 of us that one of us came from music, one of us came from the actor side of it, one of us came from the production editing side of it, one of us came from the shooting side of it. And we were a team. So we all pulled resources and information from each other. I mean, the reality is this is a collaborative art form, you know? You're only as good as your weakest link. And if everyone's on their A game from pre-production, development, writing, production, post-production, you know, then you're gonna have something special.
Correct.
You know, if you're missing a part, if everything's great and editing is horrible, you're probably not gonna have a great project. You know, so every element counts. Now, with that being said, you know, working with these actors, you know, I think being a creative person and then doing it more and more and doing it all the time. I mean, we've had over 3,000 clients, you know, and then when we do consultations, we basically talk with everyone, and we start very simply. We start, well, okay, you're an actor, you're coming in here to get content, and I do this with my clients as well who want to do a short film or who want to do a longer narrative piece. I say, first of all, what's the genre? You know, what's the genre? What's the characters? What's the relationship? What's the situation? Where are we coming from? You know, what's the history of this person? And I think just starting with those elements, and then blue sky. And this is something I learned from my partner. You know, blue sky. Throw ideas all over the place. There's no bad idea. Because if it is a bad idea, it may actually stimulate something in your brain process that creates the idea that's right for you.
And how these demo reel help you to move bigger stuff, like feature film, stuff like that? How would that help you?
So we've done over 3,000 original scenes. And these are 1 to 2 minute narrative scenes, right? And basically in every scene, you know, we're trying to create an arc in a 1 minute, you know, on a page. So we're trying to create a character arc on a 1 minute page. So we go somewhere with it. So we basically, and we're shooting, you know, so the way we're shooting for the demo reels is we're shooting very kind of guerrilla style, so as you might say, independent guerrilla style. So we literally find locations that, one, look great, have great depth, have great light, sound good. Obviously, I think sound is the most important element, when making narrative film. You can have horrible visual, and you can call that style as long as it's consistent. Yep. And people will be like, wow, that's amazing. So, but sound will always pull an audience out. But basically, we were creating these 1-minute pieces of content, and we're like, well, why can't we just replicate this? Why can't we just use our method of filmmaking of guerrilla style, and make a feature film? So what we originally did was we did the blue sky method, and we basically created all of our characters and all of our relationships. We knew, for Scramble, for example, we knew we wanted to have an underdog kid, and we were very inspired. We looked at what movies are we inspired by. So, like Pulp Fiction, Guy Ritchie, and like me and my business partner, he hiked across Japan twice, so and then our sound partner, he is Japanese. So we have a very kind of Asian, Japanese influence on our film and on that as well. And we basically what we did was, as team members, we wrote and outlined our entire story. We used our method of creating short form narrative to create a long form narrative, but we filled in pieces over time. We started writing the script, and then once we had the story, we started writing the script, and then basically what we did was we brought on our writer, Amanda Glassman, who has been writing our original scenes for us after we do the consultations with clients. We brought her on, and then she wrote the entire feature film out. And then, of course, we went back and forth with notes and things like that. And then that led us to, figuring out how much we needed for this to make it. We started an Indiegogo page. We raised $20,000. Wow. That was for our initial, that was for our initial getting the movie started. We knew we wanted to shoot on 4K, and this was back in 2016. And we knew we wanted to shoot on DSLR style, which was our style of guerrilla filmmaking. So we bought Panasonic GH4s. We bought 2 of them. We bought different lights, different lenses, and then we figured out what we needed to shoot in terms of locations, what we had to pay for, the actors that we had to hire. So the initial money that we got, we spent for those initial, expenses. The initial money that we got, we spent for those initial expenses. And then basically, Scramble took us 6 months to shoot. It was a 21-day shoot over 6 months. So we broke it up, and we shot at the availability of our cast and our crew. Because, after we ran out of that initial 20K, we started pulling money from our company and started using that to pay for the movie. And then we started using as many free resources as we could. So locations, things like that, we would grab and go. Sometimes we'd have a 12-hour day shoot. Sometimes we would have a 2-hour day shoot. We'd get into a location, in and out. And then eventually we just started building all these puzzle pieces, putting them together. And then we had a full feature film. Which was kind of crazy. I'll tell you this much, man. The continuity, to try to deal with continuity over 6 months was mind-boggling. Yeah, it was mind-boggling. And this is hilarious. So our lead actress, our lead actress for the movie, we shot the first 4 days, which were like where we spent the most money, because that's when we had the initial 20K. She quit after we finished principal for the first 4 days of principal photography. So like literally we were on our way to film this. We have this giant, showdown at the end, like the finale, like all these, bullets and guns, and it's this huge gunfight. And we were on our way to Malibu, to this mansion in Malibu. We were on the 101 freeway, and I'm in my car. Noah's the director. He's in the car behind me. We get an email that says, "Oh, I can't do the film, blah blah blah, so on and so forth." And we both, I think, our hearts dropped. And I call him, like, "You get it?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it." So we're like, "Okay." So we figured this out. We brought in a body double, like last minute. We brought in a girl that looked like her, so we put her hair over her head. We locked her in a safe in the place. We had the whole final showdown take place. And then, like, because we had that night, we had like 30 people there. We weren't not going to shoot something. So then we thought, okay, how are we going to do this? So we ended up recasting a girl to shoot the rest of the movie, who kind of looked similar. So we went and, and this was after we shot the final showdown. So we recasted this girl. We went back there. We shot a couple insert scenes with her so we could have her in the environment. We shot the rest of the movie out, and then all the scenes that we had shot previously, we finished all the editing. So we edited the entire movie. Then all the scenes we had shot previously with the first actress, we went and we knew what coverage we had to get. So then we shot the new girl on a green screen. And then my business partner literally rotoscoped and put her head on the other girl, and nobody knows. Wow. It's incredible. But talk about adding, like months to the post-production process. Yeah. So especially when you have limited budget. So, and this was us, this was us as filmmakers doing this ourselves. We were running, me and my business partner Noah, we were running the show. Without us breathing the heartbeat of it, it would never have gotten done. So that's one element. That's one element of using, basically our small work method of grinding and doing one scene for an actor and turning that into a feature film. Mm-hmm. Now recently, you're talking about like keeping your motivation going, keeping the gung-ho going. So since I've been here in Atlanta, I've been able to work with a lot of great clients, and I've been hired by a lot of great small producers to produce narrative content and all sorts of other content. Right before the Christmas break, I was screening some of my work, and I had someone come up to me who said they wanted to work with me. And they actually manage a soundstage called Atlanta Film Studios, which is this incredible soundstage. It's about an hour west, like 45 minutes west of the perimeter. And I went there and I checked it out, and they had all sorts of awesome soundstage stuff, but they had this jail cell. And I was like, this jail cell I fell in love with. And I was like, I want to shoot something in this jail cell. And I knew, and I mean, it's like one of those things like, if you're stagnant, things kind of never happen. So his girlfriend came up to me and was like, well, do you have a script? So I literally wrote the script. I literally was like, all right, give me a day. So what I did was, so I'm so attuned to writing these one-page demo reels. So I knew I wanted to do a series for Instagram, right? So, and what am I a master at? I'm a master at creating 1-minute narrative scenes. So I was like, well, why don't I create 9 one-minute narrative scenes that all link together, into a culmination and a climax in their story. So I literally went back the next day. I wrote 6 of these 1-minute scenes. I did what I do with my clients. Mm-hmm. I wrote my characters. I figured out what the needs and wants of all my characters are, and then I just wrote it scene by scene, scene by scene, scene by scene. And of course, over the next couple of weeks, it kept evolving and getting better and fine-tuning it. And then I called SAG. I created a SAG New Media contract. I called some really great actors here in town that I knew I wanted to work with, that I see that are working here all the time. I don't know if you know Charles Green, but he's a phenomenal actor here in Atlanta who is working all the time on everything. So I brought him on it. I brought Desi Banks, who's he's a comedian. He's a big Instagram guy and YouTube guy. So I brought him on it. I figured that would be good to help the world of Atlanta see it, Yeah.
So how you being working the, what is your, tips you can give us how
for distribution?
Yeah.
So I think the best thing as a filmmaker, and you probably know this as well as a director, is to have people see your work, and to have people, whether they like it or enjoy it, but to get a reaction out of it, and just, I mean, you make it, sure, I'll make a feature film for myself, but I would love other people to see it.
Yeah.
Originally, so you can look at, there's always ways with a feature film, with a short film. There's always the idea of festivals, and festival routes are always good routes. I've been to Sundance, I've been to Cannes, I've been to Tribeca, I've been to AFM, which is a film marketplace. And going along with every festival is a marketplace. And the marketplace is basically the back end of the festival, where films are being bought and sold and bought and sold. Now it's interesting in the day and age that we live in now, because up until a few years ago, that was really the way to get, if you had a feature film, to get eyeballs on your feature film, to distribute your feature film, to get a buyer to buy and distribute and aggregate your feature film. Or your short film. I had a short film in the short film corner in Cannes Film Festival. Well, not in Cannes Film Festival, because that's a misconception. The short film corner is actually part of the marketplace. You know, and I learned just by walking on the floor of the Cannes marketplace, you will learn so much. You will literally see posters of movies with celebrities that haven't even been written yet. You know, and that's how they're buying and selling films. That was kind of like the old way. You know, now we kind of live like Atlanta. Buying and selling and distributing films is kind of a wild, wild west. Of course, you know, there's your social media networks and outlets, and depending on how you package your film and how you make your film, whether you make it with a social media star, you know, and you can use their network to outlie. You know, if you have a feature film, you know, there's a million ways. There's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's all the social media platforms. But really, you know, but all that takes work. Yep. You know, it really, like, the one thing we discovered was after making our film, you know, distributing the film is like making the film all over again. You know,
it's a whole different project.
It's a whole nother animal. Yep. And I think people don't think about that because they don't know, especially as a first-time filmmaker. And it's exhausting. By the time we were done making Scramble, we were burnt out. We were done. And originally what we were gonna do, there's value in looking this up and figuring out what method is best for you. There's a site called There's a site called Distribber, which is basically an aggregator. And basically what they do is you give them all your assets for your film, you know, from your picture, from your 4K to your 2K to your 1080, you know, to your sound profiles and everything like that, to your trailer and everything. And they basically aggregate all your assets to different platforms, and also to cable companies and things like that, pay on demand, you know, and usually and usually what you do for a company specifically like Distribber, they don't take any back end. They take a forward end, you know, price, and like, you know, and basically you can get on 16 platforms for like $5,000, you know, but then you're in charge of all the marketing. You're in charge of still getting the word out there and seeing it. You know, if you go the festival route, you know, if your film is great, if you have talent in it, if it's getting recognition, and then you get a buyer like Lionsgate, they'll put some PR and marketing into it, and they'll put it on their platforms, and that'll probably get way more exposure. But because the market's so saturated, there's literally thousands of feature films being made and sold every year. There's literally thousands of those feature films that are not sold every year, you know? So it's really like, you know, now as a filmmaker, the best way before you distribute your content is really to have a plan before you start making your content, you know, and to start building. I mean,
start making noise out there.
Start making noise right away. I mean, BTS is the best, you know. BTS behind the scenes, people love that. People love to go along the journey.
It's very engaging to see all the process, camera, actors. It's very engaging.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, you know, you see a Marvel movie that was made for $200 million. They also put $200 million into the marketing. So that's why they say a movie's not successful until it makes 3 times its budget back. Makes the $200 million for the production, $200 million for the marketing, and then they make a $200 million profit. You know, so it's like in a world full of noise, you know, you really have to either niche out, be very specific, or just start the journey right away for your distribution. You know, now for the Slammer, so now okay, let's go back to Distribber with Scramble. So originally we were all set up. We had actually paid our first payments for Distribber. We were gonna self-distribute, but we were so burnt out, we decided, you know what? Let's see if we can actually get a distributor and let them do the work, was our mentality. So we ended up signing with Gravitas Ventures. We had reached out to multiple distributors. We had got a couple offers back, and then we had got the offer from Gravitas Ventures, and we had thought to ourselves as new filmmakers, we were like, all right, like this is a distribution company that's well known. You know, we figured if they put their name on our movie, then we'd get more clout for our movie and vice versa. And of course, you know, you talk to the sales representative from Gravitas, and they promise you the world. And of course, as a new filmmaker, someone's willing to pay me some money for my film. Oh my goodness, this is the best thing in the world. Yeah. But of course, distribution is the very last end of making your film. Getting it out there is the very last part of it. And I think most people run into issues with distributors because I don't think they're careful on signing that deal and making that deal. So I mean, really, you before you ever sign a deal like that, you always kind of want to talk to someone who's done it before, and talk to what rights you have and what you can actually ask for, because they give you a contract that's like 30 pages, thick. So, and in that, you're like, whoa, what does this mean? I don't care. I want to get my movie on there. It's going to be on 16 platforms. Now our movie has been out for a year and a half, and we get reports on a quarterly basis from Gravitas. We signed a deal. So Gravitas only represents our film in the U.S. domestically and Canada. Okay. So we have all our foreign rights. So we have a foreign sales agent, and we're selling it overseas, and then we get individual sales, and then our foreign sales agent gets a piece of that. But we can make sales on foreign territories ourselves. Yeah. So as a first time filmmaker, do I think we did everything right with the distribution? I think we did some things right, but I think it's a learning curve, Yep. So we definitely learned about distribution in the mainstream, the way that distribution has taken place, for many, many years, doing the sales agent route and things like that. We didn't do festivals. I think we were so burnt out, we didn't have time or energy to invest in festivals. And the idea was we wanted to get the movie out right away. And one thing I heard after we had already made the deal was, just because you finish a film doesn't mean that you have to release your film, That's
a good point.
You can wait until the time is right. Now, of course, you don't want to wait and procrastinate. Yeah. But you want to be investigating on what's the best audience for this? What's the best platform for this? Do I want to release it on 16 platforms, or do I want to release it on 2? And really focus in on those audiences.
And the season 2, what season you're going to release it, I think going to affect how well the movie going to do outside.
Yeah. So I mean, there's all sorts of elements that go into distribution. Just prepare yourself as a filmmaker. That's the best thing. Just prepare yourself to know that there's a ton of work that if you want your film to be successful in distribution, there's a ton of work that you have to do after the film is made. Mm-hmm. And even while you're making the film, specifically for distribution. Yeah.
So let's talk about this project you're about to release.
The Slammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's so excited about it?
So this gets me hyped, man, because this was straight up a passion project. Okay. And this was straight up because everything, just because of the work and the networking and the people I was meeting here in Atlanta, everything just started to align, so Desi Banks is a social media star who I had seen last year when I came out to visit Atlanta to work here, and I knew I wanted to work with him because he's hilarious. Charles Green is a working SAG actor who I knew I wanted, who I worked with last year, and I knew I wanted to work with him again because he's so talented and just so great. Shy Day is a super talented actress, and her boyfriend was actually the guy who runs Atlanta Film Studios, who became my co-producer on the project. Nice. And then we brought Shy in as one of the lead characters, and she was phenomenal. She plays the female cop, and then of course. And then I have a few other people who are involved in the project that I brought in because of the networking and working together, meeting them here in Atlanta. Everyone on the project is from Atlanta and based here in Atlanta. I've been working here in Atlanta. And
so that had the stamp many in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then we have the stamp right there.
So it's straight up Atlanta made project, But literally, like, the Christmas break was coming, and Les Frank is my co-producer, the guy who manages Atlanta Film Studios, and he was like, look, man, like, December, everything's kind of dying down because of the holidays, so we have, the soundstage is open right now. And I was like, okay, well, in my mind, I'm like, well, if I could get in there, if I could shoot something, I can edit and do post-production all over the Christmas break. I'm like, it's kind of perfect because I'll be traveling. Everything else will be kind of slow. Might as well give myself a project to work on. So again, we had that meeting. We talked about the jail cell. We didn't have anything to shoot. His girlfriend was like, well, do you have a script? So I'm like, all right, give me a day. Went home. I was watching. Okay, so it's very much inspired off of, I don't know if you've seen Homecoming on Amazon Prime. The Julia Roberts produced
I haven't watched that one
series.
I watched it tonight.
It's based on a podcast, and then Sam Esmail, the producer, Mr. Robot, he directs a bunch of the episodes, and I think he might be producing it as well. But it was the Slammer was very, very much influenced by that, because I was literally watching that as I got the idea to make this, and then was writing the episodes. I was literally writing the episodes. I was like watching Homecoming, and I was getting inspired, and it's a dark thriller, and the Slammer is kind of a dark comedic thriller as well. But then the other thing that Sam Esmail does in Homecoming is he literally changes aspect ratio. When he's filming, like he has a 1:1 aspect ratio, then he has a widescreen ratio, and there's a point in the series where the 1:1 becomes the widescreen aspect ratio as you're watching it. I was like, this guy is crazy. Like he's playing with the aspect ratio. So I was like, so then I thought, okay, I have all these resources, that I want to put together, and I can play with aspect ratio. So I was like, why don't I make, what am I great at? I'm great at producing these 1-minute scenes. What platform plays 1-minute videos? Where can I adjust and play with the aspect ratio? On Instagram. Yeah. Because one, I can shoot in a crazy aspect ratio. So I exported. I have two exports of it. I have a 5x4 or a 5x4, and then I also have a widescreen version of it. But every episode is made as a 1-minute is a 1-minute episode, and then there's 9 episodes, and they all come together for this culminative climax, which is pretty awesome. And everyone I show it, I haven't released it yet, but everyone I show it is like addicted. Oh, I need to watch the next one. And I'm like, that's great. Because, if you get attached to the first one, and like usually on Instagram, like we're all scrolling. If we get caught in a video, we'll watch it, and then if it really sucks us in, we'll watch the next one, and like that's the goal of this. And because, part of it was, as a filmmaker making Scramble, having that distributed, I'm like, well, how can I go through the distribution process and distribute a narrative project that I love and that I want people to see, but make it easier on myself? Yep. Well, what platform is right at my fingertips? And Instagram is there. Everybody. And then bringing someone like Desi Banks on, like his audience, like he throws a trailer up on his page, his audience will want to see it. So we actually, what distribution is gonna look like, and distribution, how we're distributing it, we're still figuring out exactly how we're gonna do it. But what it looks like is I'll probably release the 9 episodes over 9 days on my channel on Instagram, and then Desi will probably release the full series together on his YouTube channel. So then we'll get views both ways. And then with that being said too, like, Charles Green, I love him as an actor. I think I've said his name 3 times now, but I think he's a phenomenal actor. But also the people in this town, respect, the producers and casting directors, they respect and love him. He was just in that movie with Taraji P. Henson, What Men Want, And like even Desi was like, saw him in that movie and was like, oh my God, I'm in the scene with Charles Green. Like, yeah, so, but like, I can't wait for the Atlanta community to see this project put together by a bunch of people in the Atlanta community, and it's exciting. And obviously, like, for me, it's super passionate as a filmmaker, as a writer, as a director, as an editor, doing, because I did all that stuff for this. And then it was kind of funny too, because I have a buddy who's a cinematographer as well as an actor, and I'm a cinematographer as well as an actor. And I was like, all right, bro, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write you in the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna shoot the first 5 episodes. We're gonna shoot the last 2 together after you're out. You'll shoot the last 4 episodes, and I'll be in those episodes. So then I was able to act and shoot and get the style, and then he was able to replicate the style, and then I was able to put him in as an actor, have him also DP, and then I was able to put myself in as an actor and then also DP and create the style.
Teamwork.
So yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah,
right.
Is.
So yeah, so that was super exciting, and I'm excited to get that out and to show it, and then to work on and to go on to the next project.
So when you go to sleep, what keeping you alive with that energy? Because I can touch you, I can get shocked. With you, some energy going out, man. What keep that energy going out?
Yeah, the energy, man. You know, sometimes I can't go to sleep because my mind is rattling off so much. I'm like, ooh, okay, my head's on the pillow. Wait, let me go write this down. Ooh, wait, I want to do this. Oh, wait, I want to make this edit. You know, and like, there's just so much going on.
Do you sleep at all?
I try to. My fiance likes it when I sleep, but she gets mad at me for, running around the house all night. There's a creative flow inside of me that when I get to create, when I, film something new, when I'm writing something that I'm passionate about, when I'm at a point in my edit where I'm fine tuning and I'm seeing the story come to life, when I'm at a point in my edit where I'm fine tuning and I'm seeing the story come to life, I am excited. I've been doing this. I've been working as a creative entrepreneur, as an actor, director, filmmaker, as an editor for, since basically 2008, for 11 years, as a freelancer. And, you have your ups and downs.
Yep.
Your ups are so exciting. When you book a job as a director, or you book a job in a television show, I mean, it's the most exciting. It's what we work for every day, to do that, to work. I think as artists, we work so we can work. I mean, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Yeah. And then when we're not working, I think that's sometimes when we create our best art.
Yep. Because
as an artist, as a filmmaker, as an actor, as a writer, to be able to use the artistic side of the brain to play, to be a kid. I think the best acting I ever did was when I was 8 years old on stage. I always wish I could get back to that, and sometimes I do, and I have those moments of levity, as a filmmaker. To be directing and having an idea and have a collaborative moment with your team that goes from good to genius, because we're all working together and then this creative energy just joins together, is some of the best moments ever.
Yep.
You can ask why people literally work, for free, in an industry where nothing is ever promised to you. Mm-hmm. But even if there's no reward, there's still a great reward in finishing a project.
Yep.
Or being on stage and having, as what we talked about earlier, having that exchange of energy with the audience. I mean, as a performer, being on a live stage with a live audience is probably, it's better than any drug you could ever do.
It's an exercise.
It's like powerful. But not only to you, but to them. You affect them, they affect you. Yep. As a filmmaker, your work affects them, it affects you.
Yep.
And it just, and I think we just keep getting inspired. And every time you're inspired, you want to create something new. And I'm inspired all the time. So I just want to create new stuff all the time. My problem is I want to do too much. I need to focus, And when I get to focus, when I get to work with a team and we're focused on one thing, then I think some really great moments happen. And I mean, that's what I'm excited about every day.
So any word of wisdom you would like to share with the filmmaker out there? They're about to quit and they don't know how to keep going. How you will tell them, don't do it. Just keep making,
Yeah. Well, first off, just do it, right? Nike, just do it. No, just do it. Just make it, because that's the most passionate thing. And I think the reality is you have to let go of these expectations of of doing it because I want this. You have to do it for yourself. If you're having fun, and you're learning and you're collaborating and you're having fun with those people that you're learning and collaborating with, then it's just great anyway. If you end up making something that is phenomenal and you get to show it to an audience, that's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, why not? If you have the time and the resources, why not do that? A lot of people start this as a hobby and then they fall into something much bigger. But really, just do it. And it's like when you run a marathon or you do like an obstacle course like the Spartan race or something, if you stop while you're doing it, you're more likely not to start up again. If you just take it step by step and just check it off the list and you really pay attention and live in each moment of it, you'll get it done.
Yeah. And that's the point. Just get it done.
Yeah.
That's very important. So thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, man.
It was
I really
such a great information. And for you, filmmaker out there, please share this. Maybe you know somebody out there who need to hear this to keep making it happen. So like it, share. I mean, just because you need to share, just because somebody out there need to get this information. Thank you so much. So see you in the next one.